Good Friday morning. My name is Jerry Miller. Welcome to Real Talk. This, an insider's guide to real estate life and the pursuit of happiness. It's powered by the Yes Team Realtors, trusted advisors in the game, Keith and Yonna Smith. Guys, we're live in Charlottesville, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world. And if you had if you were a fly on the wall before the program, you'd see that Keith Smith and I, thanks to the fabulous Mona, our guest from the previous show, Mona Daniel?
Daniels, yeah.
Mona Daniels.
Daniel, actually.
Daniel, right.
Yeah.
She gave us the 170 most important adjectives, Keith Smith.
And I don't know what she's trying to tell me, but I'm supposed to study, and there will be a test.
There you go.
There will be a test.
Mona Daniel, a very happy client of Keith and Yonna.
Well, she's also a sailor, a Navy, and I'm a Marine,
right,
as you can tell. So I think this might have had something to do with that.
There you go. It's Good Friday. It's great to be with you. We have salute your fabulous Marines, guys. Keith Smith,
thank you.
A Marine himself. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
My friend, tell us about today's show.
Yeah, so I'm just excited to hear what Lisa has to say. I was telling you guys off air, I ordered one of those belt buckles that you see stewardess. Well, actually, that's not incorrect. Flight attendants. I apologize. Flight attendants.
Flight attendants.
Flight attendants. I apologize. Flight attendants. And when you and I get to do our thing, I'm going to put my seatbelt on and get out of the way. But she's absolute rock star. I can't wait to hear what she has to say, and I really just want to get out of the way and give her an opportunity to be who she is, which is an awesome person. I
love it. I love it. So, Lisa, if you are watching, we will call you. We got a couple calls there. We will call you here shortly. We promise we'll welcome you here to the program in about a minute or so. How you feeling? How you feeling on a Friday?
I'm feeling great. Actually, I'm a little warm. I went for my bike ride this morning, so I'm trying to cool down a little bit. But again, like I said, I'm just excited about listening to what Lisa has to say, and embracing the diversity. And again, she's just an absolute rock star. I hope we have an opportunity for her to share what she does for the community. Also, real estate agents and realtors, I don't think get enough shout out.
Oh yeah.
For what we do in the community. So hopefully we'll start off with some of the rock star stuff that Lisa has done.
I'll get Lisa on the phone now.
Sure.
Why don't we take a moment while I'm doing that? And Judah, we're giving you a heads up that we're going to welcome her into the broadcast. Judah Wickhauer is our fabulous, fabulous director. Why don't we, while I get her on the line, why don't you give a plug to the fabulous Interstate Pest and Service Companies?
Yeah, so this is one of our new sponsors, and we're super excited about it. We're going to talk about this on the back end of the show, that summer's going to be the new spring. Is the new spring, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that you could do to get your house ready, and they can help you with every single one of them. So on the back end, we're going to do that.
Fantastic, fantastic. Judah, we have Lisa on the line. We'll go to you here in a matter of seconds, Lisa. Give me the heads up, Judah, when we can. And we're excited to welcome her onto a broadcast that now has 6 different real estate firms watching the show. We have the green light. You are live. Welcome to the program. Thank you so much for joining us.
Look at that smile. Isn't
that
a beautiful smile?
Why don't we take a moment, Lisa, and introduce yourself to the viewing public. Before we talk real estate, let's just talk you. What are you all about?
I'm all about housing equality and helping to address the affordable housing crisis. That's my main focus, and that's what I'd like to talk about today.
That's exciting. Well, you're at the right place.
Well, let's go. I'm ready.
At the right place.
I'm ready.
I'm going to do this.
I'll go. So long. See you in about an hour. How you doing? What a smile, huh? Isn't that a beautiful face? Thank you for coming on.
Oh, thank you
for coming on. So before we get into that, though, do me a favor. Tell me a little about you, like the flip book of who you are, and all the awesome stuff, because actually you came off the cardboard when I went on, right? So I'm trying to keep up the good work, doing the best I can. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Great. Well, I was born and raised in Standardsville, Virginia. Graduated there, went on to college, had a focus on political science. Anybody knows me, I think that they can tie that and see how that could connect with me. I have 3 beautiful daughters, and my main focus is to leave a legacy where I have impact. And I decided to get into the real estate industry truly after I heard something on the radio, and it was talking about the inequalities, and especially in the Charlottesville area in real estate and the mortgage industry, and how there was a lot of predatory lending going on, and there was African Americans who were still being impacted by predatory loans, although they had the necessary credit and the necessary means to receive better loans. And I was just outraged. And at that point, I was in the publishing industry. I actually worked for a local newspaper, and I was in the mindset of possibly shifting my focus. And it just came at a time where I was like, you know what? This is the sign that I was looking for. And I dived right on in.
Well, you
following the Great Recession.
Oh, yay! Go! Yeah. So you used to work for the Daily Progress. This was the local newspaper, right? I did. A very simple Google search will forget. Well,
I was about to say, did you look me up?
That isn't too creepy, is it? I hope it's not too creepy. So let's dive right into it, because as you know, I'm super passionate about affordable housing, sit on a bunch of nonprofits, and chair the Regional Housing Partnership. So I'm going to get out of the way, and I'm going to let you share your thoughts on the subject, and then we'll chime in, maybe have a little two-way conversation.
Okay. Well, we are both fully aware of Richard Rothstein's book, The Color of Law. And after reading that book, it made a lot of connections that I'd always believed anyway about segregation, in residential segregation, and how the government actually truly had a hand. And it was a blatant hand in segregation. And a lot of that historical legacy lives within our residential neighborhoods today. And I see it. I sit on a lot of committees, I sit on boards, and I see that. And oftentimes when I make an attempt to change or to shift that narrative and drive a lot of the poor or the African Americans out of those particular public housing neighborhoods, create another narrative and put home ownership at the forefront instead of it, being a part of our conversation. Oh, that's so difficult for us to do. It takes so much funding. In my mind, if you have families who have been in public housing for generations, I'm talking over 20 years. The mother started there, the daughter now resides there, and now the daughter has a child who's going to also get on public housing. That's a problem, and we need to change that narrative. And how can we change that narrative? Of course, I'm about solutions. I work on policy committees. I create ideas around how we can change that narrative. And one of the most recent projects that I worked on with Leadership Charlottesville, you too are a graduate of Leadership Charlottesville. I just graduated in 2020. And one of the projects that I worked on was around holding the largest employers in the state of Virginia accountable for their employers' housing needs with an employee-assisted housing program where the employers can offer a grant. And I started at a meager amount of $10,000, and that was just to get the conversation started. So I'm all about solutions, and that was just one of a policy shift that I thought of and helped to create with a very powerful team of women. It just happened to be women, but powerful women in the mix, and who are oftentimes affected by the housing restrictions. So I'm all about change, and I'm all about doing the difficult work. And you know me, I'm not shy about having difficult conversations. I'm normally the only one in the room that looks like me. Sure. So I feel that I have an obligation and a platform to speak up on those issues, on those types of issues. I'm not afraid of that.
That is exactly why
she's here.
You're here.
Yeah.
And this is exactly why.
That was a sizzle reel, Judah. Can you mark that into a sizzle reel? Tell her what a sizzle reel is.
So what a sizzle, you watch the show enough. A sizzle reel is we're going to cut it into a little section and send it out. But as I got my Marine Corps flag here, you would have been a freaking awesome Marine, because one of our ethos is lead, follow or get the heck out of my way. And Lisa is a dynamo on that. Sometimes you just have to hold the back of that sweater and say, okay, I'm with you, Lisa.
What are some of the awkward conversations she's having?
Yeah, so a great question. Our chemistry here is working because he's reading my notes.
Because we want to listen.
Okay.
So we want.
Okay.
Before you get into it, so we want to listen. We want to learn.
Okay, that's
we want to learn, right? So we want to listen to what others have to say. We want to learn from what others have to say, and then we want to figure out how we can be part of the solution to fix it. So.
Absolutely, absolutely. And whenever I come on a board or I'm on a committee or I raise my voice to a level where I can be heard, the first thing is always to listen and seek to understand. And the last thing I want to do is to judge, because part of a leadership role is also to educate. And if everybody's talking over everybody, nothing is being accomplished. I sit in rooms where a lot of the individuals that sit on the committees or on the boards have something else to gain. I come from a purpose of having impact and wanting to see more equality, especially for my people, African Americans. We're at a shift in our time today. You know, the world is changing all around us, and we're all being asked to step up in a way in which we have never been able to step up. I mean, yesterday the NASCAR decided that they would no longer have Confederate flags. And if they can make that shift, we on a state and local level can make shifts in housing as well. I need to stay in my lane where I'm an expert at. I can't be an expert in everything, but I can focus on my passion and housing and create a more equitable distribution of wealth, because that is a problem. And it's a problem in our local neighborhoods, our local communities. A lot of them don't look very diverse. And why not? It goes back to the color of law. De facto segregation is a myth. It is not true. People have not historically just gone and decided to live with people who have the same incomes or look like them. The government had a purposeful intent to segregate. And I want to be a part of that impact that helps to change it. I'm willing to start on a local level, but I'm not afraid of going on a national level as well and having these conversations. I've been at tables where I have been the only independent voice, where there have been a lot of nonprofits who benefit from the conversations and the decisions that we're making at that time. That to me is a conflict of interest. You're going to benefit directly from the decisions that we're setting at a table to make. And those are part of the difficult conversations, because there has been a legacy of a lot allowing such access to policy and allocations of funds to reside on those committees. And we need to make that shift. And oftentimes the feedback is, well, we don't have people who have that background knowledge on those committees. They bring a lot of knowledge, and that's why we want them at the table. I'm not saying you can't be at the table, but when it's time to vote, I think you need to exit the room, because you're going to be impactful in your decision, and you're going to benefit directly from those decisions.
So you mentioned Color of Law a couple of times.
You have that book.
I have that book. I actually had dinner with the author out in Portland. Awesome gentleman. If you're interested at all about this subject, you need to read it. The first, dozen pages are kind of just the first dozen pages, but then it really gets into it. So, and if you can't, I've got 2 copies. One is signed, which I'm keeping for myself. But if somebody wants a second copy to borrow, private message me. I'll be more than happy to share it. I'm actually trying through some connections to get him to sit in that spot that you're sitting right now. But
that would be cool.
Yeah, I'm trying, but we're trying. I'm trying to get it free, and that becomes a challenge, right? But you're talking about shifts, and I'm a shift kind of guy, right? And I'm sitting in the room, and I'm trying to be impactful. I'm trying to move things around, and sometimes it's an uncomfortable conversation. Sometimes people just don't want to hear what you have to say, right? But you do say it.
That's right.
So the third thing we talk about, listen, learn, which is what we did, is how can we work with others to be the solution? That, I think, is the skill set that somebody like you bring to the table, that, you can say, okay, guys, let me educate you. Let's learn. Let's see if we can move forward. What can we do to help make that shift? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Be at those tables. Allow others that look like me to be at those tables. I am a part of the CVille steering committee because they are redoing their comprehensive plan around zoning and housing. And one of the first things that this was prior to COVID, when we were able to meet and sit at a table, one of the first things that I said is like, it's like I'm the only person in here that looks like me, but yet we are making decisions that is going to be impacting the majority of individuals that look like me. So we need more engagement with the African American community.
So how do we do that? Because that's a struggle for me, right? Because obviously we don't look alike, right? But our hearts are in the same place, right?
I definitely understand.
It doesn't matter what we have on this, right? Our hearts are in the same place. Okay. And I sit at the same meetings, and it's super frustrating. How can we engage the folks at the table? And as you know, I sit on the land trust, and the version of the land trust, it's a tripartite, excuse my language, board, right? And one of them, portions of it is supposed to be the people who we serve, right? And we can't get people to sit at the table. Please come to the board meetings. Please be engaged. And, you hear a lot of feedback. I don't have time, which I get, or I won't be listened to, which is, I'm fortunate that they say that. So how can we help? How can I help people get engaged to show up to meetings?
And you hit on a point, is that a lot of times individuals disengage because it's like, I've done this before, I've been here before, we've had the same conversation, and there have been no actionable item. And within that, people are frustrated. And it's like, I've got to find another way. I've got to find a way out on my own. So just like we make campaigns for marketing, for anything else, you hire headhunters if you want to get a specific employee to work in your company. Make it a campaign. Make it a true focus. Go out in the neighborhoods when we're able to, post COVID. Make sure you have boots on the ground and stop just asking. Go and tap people on the shoulder. I mean, it's not going to be easy because people who look like me have been hurt and lied to. So what's the motivation for us to show up, besides if you're somebody like me who just don't easily give up and who want to have impact? But I can truly understand individuals being frustrated. I'm going to be the only one there anyway. And, there are always other people who have voices that overtake someone's voice who has an objection to what they're saying. So it is about embracing and going out and truly have boots on the ground, make it a campaign.
So I'll talk a little bit from personal experience on that, then I'm going to hand it back over to Jerry. The Nassau Street Land Trust, right? Mm-hmm. So we've sold 4 units over there, all mixed, diverse of persons, right? And it's funny, every single one of them said, I gave up. Every single one of them said, I gave up. And what changed that narrative was Greg Slater and I are on the board, right? We made the decision to put it in the MLS and get it out to 1,300 realtors. And with the exception of one, no, actually, all 4 had a real estate agent on the other side, had a realtor on the other side. Mm-hmm. And those realtors reached out to these communities and found the buyers and said, look, no, don't give up. So it turns out, and it was amazing because Greg handled the sales end of it, I handled the building end of it, right? And I didn't get really to interact with the buyers until the back end of it, and that was their story, every single one of them. Right. I gave up. Right, I was resigned to the fact that I would never own a home. So I think we just need to get out there and do a little bit more of it. So I'm going to pass you over to Jerry and let you. He asked some wonderful questions from the feed. And
Lisa, thank you so much for joining us. You're doing amazing on this interview. I'd like to ask you what was going through your mind initially as the entire country was captivated with murder in Minneapolis with George Floyd.
George Floyd.
I think it's paramount that we have this discussion, and then we'll go from the macro in Minneapolis down to here in Charlottesville and what you've seen over the couple of weeks in Charlottesville. I'll get out of your way. The show is yours. What'd you think of? What'd you make of this?
It was always just a matter of time for the next situation to happen, and which, I see myself as an activist as well, and I have been on the front lines of these protests. I've marched right in the front. I marched from downtown to the streets of the Rotunda just this past weekend, and I've gone to support other small communities. I've marched with the activists in Orange County and in my local Greene County area where I was born and raised. Now is the time. I mean, at what point is white America going to say African Americans and people of color have been brutalized, raped, stolen from their countries? At what point do we have to continue to suffer that you're going to wake up? So now you see people protesting and you see people doing things that they shouldn't be doing. But that is the actions of people who feel that they have not been heard. At what point is the nation going to wake up? I say now. And I'm here to help lead the charge, because all of it ties back to wealth inequality and inequality on so many levels. So that's why I'm here to help in the housing area. I need to stay where I'm an expert in, but everyone can help out. Don't just shy away from the difficult conversations. Where are you? What does your friend group look like? I have 3 daughters, and every one of their friend group is multiracial, diverse in gender, sex, all of it. What does your friend group look like? Who have you reached out? And stop asking, what can I do, and go do something. Because now is the time, and there's a lot of frustration, and deservingly so.
That is a sizzle reel. That's a sizzle reel. That was so good. Sizzle reel, please mark that. What'd you think of how Charlottesville and Central Virginia, the last few weeks here, how you think we've handled this, the community?
I can tell you from the perspective of a protest, and when I walked down the street from downtown to the Rotunda and saw the multiracial support and love, I was just so, I couldn't breathe, because I just love the support. And that's the community that we are. We are not a community of hate. We want to see change. And there are so many parents who speak up now on school boards and who want to see change and who's asking for direct change where they would have not stood up before. So people are seeing how they can be an activist as an individual and taking steps, starting wherever they can have impact. Start somewhere. Even if it's having a difficult conversation with your realtor friend. We see and interact with each other every day, and a lot of times it's just on the surface. You don't know who I am, and you don't want to know my pain, because then you got to look in the mirror and say, I have a lot of white privilege and I didn't even know about it. So that's a difficult conversation. You got to look in the mirror and say, what can I do? And understand that I'm not blaming you. I just want you to be a part of the solution, because we're tired and we're frustrated.
She's on fire, and I couldn't agree more with you here. Do we feel almost more, and you have more perspective and experience to offer here on this, do we feel that we're more at a crossroads than ever before? Where, don't we feel like the energy and the commitment or willingness to make a change? I'm alive 37 years. Let's take away the first 15 because I'm dumb. Don't take away the first 18 because I'm dumb and I don't know anything. From
Only
18,
that much?
From 18, okay, the first 25 years, okay?
Okay.
In the last 15 years, I have never seen America or Charlottesville or Virginia or Central Virginia more ready to like make massive changes. I'll throw that to you.
Amen. Amen. 100%. And guess who's leading the march? The younger generation. They are on fire. They were the ones speaking up on the steps of the rotunda, demanding, no more asking, but demanding change. And I am so proud that my daughter, Angel Herndon Scott, stood on the steps of the rotunda and gave her speech. And I was like, you know what? My legacy is working. And I was just a proud mother. But there were so many other young kids of all nationalities standing up and speaking out for change and making suggestions as to how everybody can have impact. Now is the time. We say, as people of color, African Americans, no more. No more. Now is the time. And that old legacy of hate is not going to work anymore. We are just not going to tolerate it because as a whole, as a nation, we are better than what is currently in the executive office. And I will say that many more times. We are much better than what is currently in the executive office. We are not going to tolerate that. So get out and vote is another thing. Get out and vote.
When you were talking about your daughter on the steps of the rotunda, your eyes like glimmered with such pride. Put in perspective that moment for you as a mom. We have a lot of moms watching. When you see your daughter, and I'm a dad of a 2-year-old, and nothing makes me happier than seeing, and I'm getting choked up, nothing gets me happier than seeing that little boy like smile. So I can't even imagine what it's going to be like when my little boy is in front of people talking and leading a charge. And I'm getting choked up now. What did that make you feel like?
Let me tell you something about my daughter. She's my middle child, and she is the most meek and quiet person. But on that day, having to make that walk and sitting and kneeling for 9 minutes to imagine what hate it took for that police officer to kneel and squish the life out of George Floyd, she just felt compelled to get up and speak. I had no idea. She said, "Mom, I was just moved. I just had to say something." And I was enormously proud. I was not expecting it at all. So I'm no different than anybody else. I want my children to have a better future. And as a lot of African American mothers, fathers, I've had to have that talk with my children as well. And they say, "Oh, Mom, it'll be all right." No, sweetheart, you don't know the hatred that's out there for you in the world. They have friends of different races, ethnicities, and they sometimes don't get it. So every time I have to reinforce, make sure you're aware of your surroundings and what your friends are doing doesn't mean you can get away with it as well. Just remember, you wear this skin each and every day, and until it gets better, they're going to see that first and nothing else.
She's amazing. She's absolutely amazing. Let's get Keith in
I
here.
need to get
I wish
my
you were in the
seatbelt.
studio, Lisa. I seriously wish you were in the studio.
And no COVID, because he'd be hugging you right now.
Oh my gosh, you're amazing.
He's tearing up.
I'm literally, you see me, right?
He's tearing up, yeah. So I'm going to kind of pivot back to housing a little bit. That was impactful and awesome. And if you haven't heard my brother-in-law James on Tuesday, take a moment and listen to that. Very similar, very similar. I love him to death, and I just don't see color because it's just not who I am. But his speech was impactful, so you should listen to that. So you can just slide 2. So we're talking about when we embrace diversity, right? We build stronger communities, right? So we want to try to go back to that about how can we embrace diversity as real estate agents, as realtors? And I apologize for my Yankee accent, right? I can't say that properly. But what can we do to help embrace that? How can we as real estate professionals, right, help that conversation? Is that a good question?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us how to do it.
Be willing to listen. Be willing to listen. And ask your fellow realtors. I don't really know your story. I see you show up at everything, and I see you always having a seat at the table, but I've never stopped to, ask, what have you experienced in real estate? And I just had a very similar conversation with some members of the Keller Williams team and with the Women's Council of Realtors. We're friends on the surface, but do you really know what I am? Do you really know that while I've been in real estate, I showed up to view with my clients a home that was almost $1 million, and I'd gotten to know my clients who I adore. And the first thing when I got out of the car, they was like, "Oh, where's your real estate agent?"
Ooh.
And my clients just looked back and was like, "Here she is.
Mm.
She's our real estate agent." Or my experience where I had another realtor speak to me in such a demeaning manner and refer to my client as, well, maybe that particular client is not the right fit for our house. Ooh. Or maybe you're not the right agent for our house. And having to go with my managing broker at that time and just sit down and release my frustration and just cry out for a better way. And then she's like, "Hold on, I got you. I got you." And she followed up with that other agent who'd been in the industry for over 30 years. And she said, "I don't want you to think that this is how the real estate business is."
So I'll tell you, it's not like that. And as you know, my lovely wife is my better 7/8. She's much smarter than I am, much better looking than I am.
True.
And can do pretty much
everything.
Yeah, she's like everything.
Yeah.
We talk about the show and so forth and so on. And I said, "Yeah, I got Lisa coming on, and she is in complete love with you and your professionalism." So I'm telling you, you are super professional. And I got a couple of listings. Bring us a buyer. We'd love to have you there. I've got a $1.2 million listing.
He does.
Please come. Please bring him up. Please, 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 please. So, don't let anybody do that to you. You're a pro. Absolute pro. There's very few of us out here in this world that are, and you're one of them. So
I appreciate that.
So
I received that.
Thank you.
Final word.
But no, you said something just now, right? And I'll get off. We're getting past our time together. It's something difficult for me to do, the receiving, right? It's very hard for me to receive things. I like to give. So Thank you for receiving that. That's a skill. Is it an adjective? I don't know. Is it an adjective?
Receive?
I don't think so.
No, that's not an adjective. That's a verb.
I don't know. I got kicked out of high school. What do I know?
It's a verb.
Yeah, it's a word.
Okay, it's a word.
Lisa, you're a lot of fun. Thank you for this. I wanted to end this with that beautiful smile as you started.
You're
it.
Awesome, Lisa.
So thank you.
Thank
do we
you.
got anything from the feed?
We have too much from the feed.
It's too much from the feed.
You were in fuego.
So we will bring you back on to kind of answer some questions. But thank you. And apparently, I now need to play the adjective game. Thank you to Mona. And it was funny when she gave this to me. I said, "You realize I'm just a jarhead. I'm a Marine.
I enjoy you.
I have no idea what an adjective is."
Lisa, you were so good.
Thank you, Lisa.
So
You've been great. Thank you.
You're amazing. Seriously. Thank you. Have a good one.
Bye.
Take care.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
I will throw this to you.
So it's a verb, huh?
That was the verb. I'll
Okay.
throw this to you. And I look up to you. You know I do.
That was impactful. You were tearing. That was not BS. That was real.
We as white males
Sure.
have what? Most privilege possible. I remember launching this business 12 years ago. Dude, I would go to the lobby at the Omni Hotel or coffee shops around Charlottesville 12 years ago, buy a $3 coffee and take a table in the lobby at the Omni or the coffee shops around the area and take a table for 10 hours.
Yeah.
And not buy but a $3 coffee. And I think about it now, was I able to do that for 8 to 10 hours because I'm white, Is it different? Would it be a different scenario if it was a black male that was doing that or a black female that was doing that?
Yeah, we can't answer that.
We can't answer that.
Lisa can.
And she would probably say yes.
I can't answer that. But I'll tell you, we talked about this when I had, my brother-in-law James, after the August 2017 thing, and I mean that, I grabbed his hand.
I remember, you told me.
And we walked up and down the mall. And it's just the way I was raised. It was just, I'm very fortunate, right? I was able at the age of 18 to go travel the world when I was in the Marine Corps. And I got to see different cultures and different worlds.
Well, you met your wife, too.
I met my wife there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And, I go out of the way. It's funny. I was coming from the parking garage over here, and African-American was cleaning up. And I got out of my truck, and I looked him in his eye, and I said, man, thank you for doing that. Have a great day. And I turned around, and I walked away. And, all of a sudden, he had a big smile on his face. He said, thank you. It's little stuff like that. If we can just, and most, James said it right? It's this 2% that's always the assholes. Excuse my language. And we just, the rest of the 98%. Look at that, huh? I did that.
There you go. The man. Good job, Keith.
I ran out of fingers. 98% of us, if we just go out and listen, learn, and just interact with other folks. It was great. I was looking forward to this conversation, and she didn't disappoint.
No, she was on fire. We're live on 12 different Facebook pages. We'll get some comments and some folks that are watching. Stephanie Wells Rhodes, hello. Barbara Lundgren, hello. We have the moms watching on the loop in Glenmore. I'm getting message. Amanda Spagoni, the realtor.
The message from the moms ago.
It's like we're watching. No,
it's not an adjective.
Your buddy Greg Slater is watching.
Yeah.
Hello, Greg Slater.
Hey, Greg.
Michael Guthrie, Chief Executive Officer Roy Wheeler says, thank you, Lisa Herndon.
Yeah.
And thank you, James Watson, for your comments from Tuesday. Study and learn so we can understand, then allow ourselves to be made vulnerable as we strive to care for one another. From Michael Guthrie.
That came from Michael?
Michael Guthrie.
Yeah. That's impactful. Again, it's pretty simple. Just listen to what other people have to say, learn from them, and care. Yeah. Right. So,
how do you get engagement at the land trust?
How do we get engagement at the land?
That's a crossroads you have to go.
It's a hard thing,
right?
I don't know the answer to that. I literally was trying to learn from Lisa how we could get engagement in there. It's hard. People, I guess the story that I was telling, that with these 4 buyers, they just literally gave up. And these all folks look different than me, right? And come from different socioeconomic backgrounds and different parts of the world, and so literally we had a refugee,
right? You told me
come in, and they just gave up. And Greg is watching.
Greg is watching, and
I'll tell you, if it wasn't for Greg, he put in literally.
I like Greg a lot.
Thousands of hours of engaging to help them do that, because frankly they're used to getting screwed.
Well, and Lisa said it. I mean, it's like generations of systematic disenchantment, and generations of systematic disenchantment is going to minimize engagement.
I'm checking the adjective words.
Disenchantment means not interested, not involved. Feeling somewhat demoralized in their perspective.
Yeah, so I don't have an answer to that. I wish I did. It's hard. I think what you do for a living would be helpful, branding, right? Mm-hmm. Getting the story out and all that stuff. But it's hard. The only way I know how to engage people is walk up to them.
Yeah. Well, and you're good at it. You have a conversation.
No. I just try to, what's the golden rule, right?
Yeah.
Treat somebody like you want to be treated. The guy sweeping up in the thing has a job, has a life. Hey, man, thank you for what you're doing.
Let me throw this to you, okay? And this is a tough topic. Okay.
We're not going to get the numbers, I see.
The way it's set up, and this is why you've been fighting so hard for affordable housing, the way it's set up with over half of the city property zoned for single-family R1.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's set up for wealthy people to have success.
Well, we talked about this with James, not necessarily Charlottesville. We talked about this, James, with this project in Albemarle County that is on hold for a year.
This is by Dunlora.
Correct. Yeah. So there's a likelihood that may go by right. From a business perspective, at certain point, somebody's going to have to make
cut the losses and say, just do this.
Somebody's going to have to make a business decision.
Yeah.
So and it's hard. I've been doing this for decades, and it's just really hard. And I think the Regional Housing Partnership, which I also chair, is where we're trying to bring what I call the 4 pillars, right? And you bring the government and the local folk, the local businesses, the nonprofits, and the people who we serve at the table. But you got to get them at the table. That's the skill, right? How do you get them at the table? So, if I can get, we had a conversation with my executive director for the land trust, right? And she goes, well, can I get you in front of this person? I said, you get me in front of anybody. Just get me in front of, I'll talk to whoever the hell you can get me in front of. So that's what I'll do. That's all I can do.
That's all you can do.
That's all I can do.
That's all you can do.
And we have our fun on our show.
Well, we're doing something here.
We are, very much so.
Amplifying voices that need to be heard, undoubtedly. Numbers are important to us as well, Keith.
I don't know. I'm still hooked on this adjective thing.
I'll bust out the adjective. I love words.
Yeah. Well,
I fancy myself a bit of a wordsmith.
Well, I would hope so in your line of work.
What are you looking at here?
I just went to grumpy.
We have 170 of the most important adjectives in front of us, courtesy of Mona Daniel, our guest from Tuesday.
Last Friday.
Last Friday. She provided us a, what's this called when you do this? What do you put it under this plastic thing?
Laminated.
Okay, thank you. I would just fancy myself a wordsmith. Laminated. It's laminated.
It's not an adjective. That's why. It's not an adjective.
It's laminated.
It's a plastic stuff.
Keith Smith.
I was hoping Mona was on the feed so she could play the game with us. But, every time I go out with somebody, I learn, and I learned so much from her. And it was good. Yeah, just looking at it, macho. There you go.
You got a little macho to you.
Yeah, just picking words out over here.
You're going to give me some statistics and some numbers and metrics?
I am. So I got to get myself back into the rhythm of the second half of the show here, man. So the reality of it is what I wanted to kind of talk a little bit on the back half of the show is, where's the market going? We had our extremely fruitful, impactful, and frankly difficult conversation.
Critically important.
Critically important, and I'm glad that we did that. But the general market is still, we just don't have a lot of inventory out there, and if we start looking at the numbers, we've been doing this every Friday. The last week sold in 2020, there were 74 units sold, 25 days on market, and it was 342,500 for the medium. Same time last year, 87 sold, 18 days on the market, so it was a little bit more units sold, a little less on the market. But the sale price was $314,500, so we're up 28 grand.
Up 28K week over week.
Week over week.
2019 to 2020.
That's just sold.
Yeah, he's tracking solds, guys. Week over week, money's going up.
Yeah, and
startling.
Well, and it goes to the conversation we had with Lisa, right? Which is affordability, right?
Exactly.
So I just took a look at what the heck was available that was just active between 250 and 350 in this 25-mile radius. Now, these are single-family detached. Just
single-family R1, active between 250K and 350K.
19.
In a 25-mile radius of Charlottesville. Only 19 units, 19 individual homes, 19 single-family homes available in the 250 to 350 price point.
Mm-hmm.
That's not many.
It's not a lot. But they're detached, right? They're not condos or duplexes.
Those will go quickly.
Yeah. So they're.
Where are they located primarily? Are they clustered or sprinkled?
That's a great question. I didn't bring that with me, but believe it or not, I was looking at it this morning. The inventory in Charlottesville is starting to grow.
The inventory in city limits.
Yeah, I mean, grow compared to what it
was a month ago.
Was anemic.
Sure, right.
On it, but it's starting to go. We're starting to go up a little bit with the inventory, which is good. So we're going to kind of talk about this on the back end of it. But we got this little bet going on, but the summer, I think, is the new spring.
You put that on Facebook.
I did.
Yeah, I saw that on the Yes Team Realtors page.
I did.
Hey, guys, contact the Yes Team Realtors if you need to buy or sell the home. Trusted advisors in the game. I've literally seen happy client after happy client sing the praises of Keith and Yonna Smith.
Mostly Yonna.
And if you need, and Keith, and now's the time to do it. He's basically telling you there's no inventory. He's basically telling you year over year the price point for sales are going up. And he's basically telling you if you have a fair price and your home's in good shape, it's going to move.
Yeah, so it's one of the conversations that made me think about it on the back end of it. And Judah, if you can put slide 6 up, please, if you don't mind. The why, let's face it, we're in a recession, right? We're in a recession. It is what it is.
We're using the R word now.
We're using the,
we're using the R word?
Well, it's technically not a recession.
Okay.
But when you lose this many jobs, it's a recession.
40 million jobs.
It's a recession.
Yeah,
it's a recession.
We're nowhere in a recession. Yeah, agreed.
But the reason, there's a couple of real technical reasons why housing really hasn't been impacted as it was in 2008.
Yeah, because the industry wasn't over leveraged to the max. We managed the leverage compared to last time, and we didn't give loans to coffee cups, as my friend Keith Smith likes to say.
So if we look at the slide that Judah just put up, the appreciation of homes have been very steady. Somewhere between the 4 to 6.5% range over the last 6 years. The 6 years prior to the implosion, they were at 12, 8. It was just like you said, that coffee cup could have got a house. But then to even complement that even more, if you could do 5, if you don't mind, Judah. The difficulty of getting money, right? What they call the Mortgage Credit Availability Index, and these forms are put out by National Association of Realtors. So these aren't my numbers; these are those numbers in the mortgage. But if you take a look at it, it's a simple graph. The lower the number, the harder it is to get mortgage. The higher the number. But if you look back in 06, 05, and all that stuff, it was punching 1,000. We're now down around 200.
Yeah.
So that's just like a matrix of how difficult it is to get a loan.
Well, it's interesting. I was listening. The Federal Reserve has straight up said that interest rates are going to stay at this point into 2022. And that caused a hiccup yesterday with the stock market.
As it should.
As it should. And along with the states that are opening, we're seeing a spike in cases that also caused a hiccup yesterday in the stock market. We also know credit markets are super tight right now. So we have historically low interest rates, my friend, but we have banks that unless you are a very, 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 unless you're a good candidate, it's going to be hard to get some money to buy this house.
Yeah, so credit scores are going up. The underwriters are a little bit more
tight on the money.
Tighter. But there was another thing that not everybody's talking about. What the Fed chairman said, right? They're going to start increasing buying their mortgage-backed securities. That's why I think the interest rate is going to stay low. Right, because as you know, as the stock market goes up, mortgage rates really aren't tied to prime, right? The rate that the Fed says, it's market driven, right? It's as the 10-year T-bill goes.
Of course.
Goes, and as it goes up, it goes down, and so forth and so on. But with the Fed saying, hey, we're going to buy these mortgage-backed securities, so people don't know what that is if you go to Scott Morris, right, and you get a loan with Scott Morris, that loan gets sold, right? And then there are folks that buy these in bulk.
And they bundle them.
And they're
saying, I'm going to buy these in bulk, do them in volume, and
go.
scrape a percentage off of each one. And when you have them in bulk, then you have a nice pile of money.
There you go. But when the Feds step up to the plate and say, hey, we're going to dedicate X amount of dollars to do that, that is really why, I think anyway, that's really why these mortgage rates, but you're 100% right. Mortgage rates, I think, are going to stay low. Now,
can the people get the money?
Yeah, they can. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's why you need trusted advisors. That's why you need folks like Scott and ourselves and Bill Tucker and everybody that we have in our teams and Michael Guthrie and all these real estate agents watching this. You need somebody to help you navigate through the process. But the money is there. The problem is when you only have 19, 20, whatever the number is, units to buy in that in that swath. That's the struggle here, and I think you're going to see it when you have people that are much smarter than I am. Dr. Yoon, for instance, with NAR, National Association of Realtors, I follow him pretty closely, and I think he called this pretty quickly. I think the recession, quote unquote recession, is going to be a little flat on the uptick, but housing is pretty much in a V. To go back to the conversation with Lisa, we just need to get more product out there, and we need to get more cost-effective product out there so folks can buy product homes. I apologize using the product word, but yeah. So I think we just need some more inventory, and we're going to focus a lot of shows coming up on things about trying to get your house ready, like summer. If you can do slide number 8, Judah, if you don't mind, please. Okay, I apologize. It's number 7 then.
Slide 7.
Adjectives counting.
I want to hear what you have to say. You're on fire here.
I'm on fire.
Slide 7.
Slide 7. It's the summer is a new spring. What? Got it. Thank you. We won't use numbers.
I hope that's the case.
It is. I'm telling you, it is. It better, because
I hope it is.
I need.
You want some?
I want some bourbon.
Yeah, you want some bourbon.
I hope it is.
Yeah.
I really do.
I love this.
We're kidding around, but it really is. It's
I
just.
hope I want to lose the bet, dude.
No,
I want to lose our bet. Yeah. I do want to lose our bet.
But I'm starting to see it, though. So I'm at a bit of a disadvantage because I'm watching the numbers every day, right? But you're starting to see a little bit more activity come up, a little bit more. Yonna and I got some listings coming on the market.
That's good.
Absolutely.
Recent?
Well, no, we're getting ready to put them on.
Congratulations.
Thank you. They're going to be in that sweet spot, right? And hopefully.
At the lake?
All around, actually.
Okay. Congratulations. And that 250 to 4 sweet spot?
And exactly right.
Oh, you're going to crush it.
Yeah.
Those will move.
Yeah, they will, because there's buyers.
Papa Bear's going to have a steak dinner.
Maybe. Hamburger. But to talk about the new spring market, so we're going to talk about things that you do to help get your house done. So there's the infographic that Judah just put on as a quick little 10 things that you want to do. And again, we talked about earlier, Interstate Pest Control and Service Company is one of our new premier sponsors. They can help you with every one of these things. Plus, we'll talk about a little bit later about maybe getting your house looked at before you put it on the market for termites, right? Go get your crawl space looked at for potential fungi and stuff like this. So these folks will help you get through that.
Interstate Pest and Service Company is a home's best friend since 1969. Now a presenting sponsor of Real Talk on the I Love CVille Network. Welcome, Interstate, and that 4-generation strong family. My friend.
But then you bring in Pearl,
yeah,
right, to certify it.
Yeah.
And you're in good shape.
Here's what you can do. You ready? You ready for the entire supply chain? You're gonna really love this.
Oh God.
Okay.
Hold it.
Where's the seatbelt?
Let me get. I've ordered it.
He's gonna get a seatbelt and say, "Buckle up, Robin."
Robin.
Buckle up, Pat. He's gonna say this. Okay, you're ready to sell your home. You contact Interstate Pest and Service Companies to get it up to speed.
Well, first of all, you contact real estate.
Pearl certification to get it. Contact Keith and Yonna to list it. Get the home sold in less than 30 days with a Bill Tucker and the Charlottesville Settlement Company and a Scotty Morris financing it. Then you're going to have a cold beer at Dairy Market with Chris Henry at Star Hill.
And then we'll start it off with a coffee, though.
And start off with a coffee and Brie bed. Is that good?
I think we did good.
I think we did good.
Oh, God.
What do you got planned for the weekend?
As you know, I bought a bike, so I'm going to go out, put some miles on a bike, and try and get slim and fit like you. And Yonna and I got a bunch of meetings and meeting with some folks. So.
Does Yonna have a bike?
No, so Yonna's walking.
Okay, so you're biking solo.
I'm biking solo.
Is this a crossover bike? What kind of bike are we talking?
So it's a fitness bike. It's a Trex FX3, if I got it right.
Okay.
And Quentin Beckham was kind enough to point me in the right direction. He's a biker, and I'm a recovering runner, and my knees and ankles and hips and stuff are just wore out.
So we see the distinguished gentleman biking around Lake Monticello in performance spandex, clipless pedals, wearing the Oakley shades, and a helmet. Is that what's happening?
You could have did it without the spandex.
Is that what's happening?
You could have passed on the.
How many homes at Lake Monticello? Is it 1,400?
No, 4,200.
4,200 homes can see the distinguished gentleman biking around?
5 o'clock in the morning. Nobody will see me.
You do it at 5 a.m.?
5:30. Yeah.
Good. The sun's not up then, is it?
I got a little light.
You get a little light? That's good. Good for you.
Yeah. So we're going to have a great week coming up.
Yep.
I've got Paul Harris coming back. He was with us for a while. Yeah. Paul is I want to let him tell his story. If you follow him on Facebook and his wife wrote
Quite a story he posted.
Well, his wife wrote an impactful story, so we'll let him talk a little bit about that on Tuesday, and we're going to try to focus a little bit on fair housing, and we've got a rock star agent by the name of Donna Patton who really focuses on that. So we're going to bring
Donna Patton, a fabulous realtor.
Realtor.
A fabulous realtor.
I can't say the damn word. I'm sorry.
She's on me too. We're working on it, Donna. We love you. We're so excited for you to come on the show. She's a fabulous realtor. Keith and I, the distinguished gentleman and I, make it a 3-syllable word. It's a 2-syllable word.
Maybe we'll get Mona to help us with that. She can give us a chart.
It's not on the adjective list.
Oh, got it. But she'll come up with something.
This is what you do for a living.
Yeah.
This is your job.
Oh. I thought that's what Yonna did.
You're better 7/8.
Better 7/8. Yeah.
She says, "Boys, keep it in line."
Did she really say that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Boys, keep it in line. Oh God, I love Yonna. All right, this is Real Talk. It's powered by this man and his beautiful 7/8, Yonna Smith. They are the Yes Team Realtors. They are trusted advisors in the real estate game and the choice you need to make when buying or selling your home. Contact the trusted advisor is what he's going to say. Any trusted advisor.
That's true.
I'm going to say, contact this trusted advisor.
There's some really awesome real estate agents
watching
this. To trust them, contact them, and they will guide you through the process.
19 months ago, we said we're going to create a show around real estate and us. 19 months later, we have realtors watching.
Real estate agents.
Real estate agents.
I can't.
But there is a difference, isn't there?
A huge difference.
Okay, can you tell me that? Educate me on that.
No, that we're going to let Donna.
For Donna Patton?
We're going to let Donna tell us that.
It's the certifications, right? The
testing. No, it's the ethics code that we. It's a huge difference. We joke around about it, and it's just my Yankee accent. I can't say it.
Yeah.
And the mask isn't.
The mask isn't helping.
The mask is not helping at all. But it was funny when Lisa was talking, I thought of a very dear friend of mine who passed away, a fellow Marine, and a Vietnam vet. And I ran for elected office in 2009. And in the year 2000, where Yonna and I live, got gerrymandered out of Lake Monticello. And I actually have to go to Antioch, which is around Scottsville, which is on the upper, it's about as far away from Lake Monticello. It takes us like 30, 40 minutes to go vote on it. So that's my new district. And to tell you how ditzy I am, I don't even think about this. And as Lisa was talking, it came back to me. So my campaign manager is African American. Never thought about it. We're knocking on doors in Antioch Glen, and I got told to get off the front porch. I kind of thought it was me and my accent, but maybe it wasn't. And but we didn't know it was some guy with a Yankee accent and an African American knocking on doors in Antioch Glen.
The sticks of Fluvanna County.
Yeah, and we did good. We almost beat the guy. We were, about 100 votes short, but yeah. And the guy, that particular supervisor's been there for 30 some odd years.
That's good.
Yeah, I tried to stir it up a little bit.
Yeah,
I think I did.
Good, I like it.
But Bill Hughes is his name. I think of him all the time.
Your campaign guy?
Campaign manager.
Yeah.
He was a great guy, fellow Marine. Miss him dearly. He was a great guy. It was funny. There's a story about that. If Yonna's still watching,
she is.
See, he wanted to go to Europe. So my campaign manager, during the middle of this election thing, my campaign manager and my wife went to Europe.
Interesting.
Well, I stayed home.
Okay. And in most circles, that's a movie or a TV script waiting to happen.
Or as our therapist says, a sitcom.
Oh, right. Is that an indication of you? That your right-hand person at the time and your left-hand person at the time both decide to leave and go to Europe?
I don't know. It could be. Could be, Miller.
I enjoy you. This guy is really good people. If you guys need a North Star or a compass in the home buying and selling experience, and I'm just going to cut to the chase. I've spent almost 2 years getting to know him, and this guy bleeds for his clients. He will do anything for his clients.
Well, legal. Anything that's legal.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I have seen it.
Yeah.
It's the Yes Team Realtors, guys. They are the reason this show is on air and why we're bringing approachable content for you from a real estate standpoint. I enjoyed today.
Thank you, Lisa, for being on, by the way.
Lisa was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys have a good weekend. We will see you on Tuesday at 10:15 for Real Talk. Have a good weekend. Keep it local. Stay safe. Have fun. Take care. She was fantastic.
Oh, yeah. I have to study my adjectives.
Yeah. That's an impactful 170 of them.
Yeah. I'll have to ask her for nouns and verbs, too.
Or ask her
Actually, I should ask my fourth grade daughter, who's a fourth grade teacher, to help me. Maybe that's the right answer.
to.
Is Yvonne?